Hola, and welcome to the Traveling Dirty Show. Week 2 from Rawlins, Wyoming.
Maybe we're hitting the crazy button now. I
don't know. Week 2, Rawlins, Wyoming. We did not move. We're in the same place. There's still deer everywhere.
Yes.
That has not changed. I don't think it ever does. Although this week we did see some other animals on some of our adventures. Some bighorn sheep and some pronghorns. So we took a Sunday morning stroll through downtown Rawlins. Now they have this art walk. It's like a dozen murals on the sides of buildings and things that kind of represent some of the history of the place and maybe a little faux history of the place too, but still very cool artwork, and probably all within a mile, so pretty easy walk to hike.
We took the dogs too. We thought it'd be a fun day to take the dogs out and walk through the streets, and we had a couple deer follow us a few blocks. I think they were interested in the dogs, and
first mural, 3 deer. Let's start at number 2 and see if they're gone when the dogs come back.
But then they followed us a few blocks, which is kind of cool. And then we stopped and had coffee at the Grinds Cafe there, and just chilled for a minute out in downtown. And
very old train station there. Rawlins was a stop on the first railway that went all the way across the U.S. So a lot of history in the town. I think it's only 10,000 people, but a lot of history with the railroad going through there. So definitely very cool. They said Thomas Edison went fly fishing there, and they think that's where he got the idea to use carbon line in the light bulb. So that was one of the paintings as well. But we'll try and get the murals up on the screen here so you can check those out. We found a bowling alley in town. Looked like maybe 5 or 6 lanes. Not a very big building. Never cars there when we drove by. We asked the people that ran the campsite about it, and he says, the guy's semi-retired. There's a number on the door. You got to call it, and if he feels like it, he'll come down and open it for you.
But only Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday.
Yeah, he doesn't do the other days, period. So no bowling for us in Rawlins. We didn't want to bother the guy on his retirement there. So speaking of the history, we went to the Carbon County Museum.
Yes, downtown Rawlins as well. Just over from the prison.
So definitely a lot of history about the town itself. Also the Native American Indians that lived in the area.
Yes.
And one of the more interesting stories was Big Nose George. He was a very well-known criminal, and the guy that eventually he got lynched, and I think what was it, the mayor or the governor, one of those. He was like part of the lynch mob that got him, and on his re-election day he wore shoes made out of Big Nose George's skin. So pretty brutal back in old-time Wyoming there.
Go ahead. No, I was just going to give a shout out. You should read the history of Lillian Heath, a very interesting woman. She actually helped with Big Nose George's autopsy, we'll say, and she was only like 15 at the time, and she was very interested in that type of stuff, and she went on and became a doctor, actually, and one of the first female doctors in Rawlins, but a very long history, and she used to keep part of Big Nose George's
scalp,
top of his skull area, and she used it as many different things. A candy dish, all sorts of stuff.
Yes,
really cool to read about her though. It was interesting history there. That was fun.
Very interesting. A lot of the old time fire equipment in the museum. Crazy to see a fire ladder truck with a ladder about 72 feet long, and the truck was only about 70 feet long. It just pretty much held the whole ladder. It was long as it could be, and
they used it for many years. It was crazy.
Definitely a good thing. They had the original little schoolhouse was still out front. You could peek in the windows of that. I think they were redoing part of that. Very good museum. No entry, just donations. Gave you free water. Civil War, World War II, a whole bunch of stuff in there.
Yes.
So definitely very cool.
Good for kids if you have kids. We didn't, but they have an interactive area, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So,
We drove down to a town about 40 miles away called Saratoga. Yes. Did the hot springs there.
Pretty little town, very small, but pretty drive. And the hot springs, you walk up and there's the river that runs along it, and there's a community pool where you can swim and stuff. And then the hot springs are free, and you can walk back, and they've got little bath areas. There's probably a picture to show set up, and the temperatures run anywhere from 108 to 116. They can't control that. It is what it is.
Hot water.
But luckily, Steve had read online where they feed the water, it flows through, and it feeds out into the river there too. And they've gone and built a few like circular areas from stone where you can sit in a puddle where it's a mix of the cooler river water and the mineral hot water. So we tried it. It was hot.
It was very hot, but the part in the river where it mixed was very comfortable, very nice. And we just chilled there for like an hour. I saw a mink there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I've never seen a mink before, I don't think. So that was very cool. The drive along the way, we saw tons of pronghorn. I guess they're a form of antelope. Yes. There are deer all over the camp, but we kept hearing about the pronghorn. But that was, I think, one of the first times we really got to see them. So that was definitely getting a lot of animal fill on this trip. Yes. A lot of good animal sightings. Speaking of that, we took a drive through Seminole State Park. Dirt road. Doesn't like dirt roads.
Well, dirt roads where it's hanging off the side of the mountain and there's no rail, and I'm on the side that looks straight down. Freaks me out to death.
Yeah, like, come on, people did this in covered wagons. We're doing it in a big truck. We'll be okay. But we saw a bighorn sheep through there, so that was another good animal sighting.
That was neat.
It's probably like a 18-20 mile drive to get back into the lake area. The whole drive was just beautiful, going through hills, going through mountains, more pronghorn, the bighorn sheep, saw deer. We were going to take a road that took us kind of another way back to camp, but they were having a fire on one of the mountains. Yes. So we got some very cool footage of the planes fighting the fires. We'll put that up for you so you can check that out. But we couldn't go the way we had planned on going. And so as we were kind of fiddling around with the phone and the GPS looking for a way, the sheriff drove by, so we waved him down and said, "It looks like this road goes to a town called Hannah." And he's like, "Yeah, about 34 miles of dirt road, and you'll be there." And it was about 20 miles an hour the whole way, so the 30 miles turned into an hour and a half drive to get back to where we were going. Still a very beautiful country, and probably a road that, I mean, we passed like 3 cars on this road, so definitely going through a part of Wyoming that nobody gets to see, but that drive kind of took it out of us. And we were happy to be home when we got home from that. But very cool seeing the firefighters out there doing their thing, and all the animals we got to see along the way.
The animals, it was gorgeous. Gorgeous.
So, anything else we did week 2 in Rawlins? What were your thoughts on Rawlins in general?
Very windy. It's a very windy city.
Yeah, basically the 4th windiest city in the country. It's just not populous enough to show up on that city list. But saw that Casper and Cheyenne were both top 10, and then went and looked up the wind speeds, and Rawlins is actually higher wind speed than those 2 towns. So it's a little small to make the list, but kind of anywhere from like 12 to 40 miles an hour, just
normal.
Any time of
any
day is
normal to them.
Yeah, just normal.
I'm like, do we need to hunker stuff down when the RV blow over?
I don't know.
That's exactly the response I got.
So yeah, I thought Rawlins was very cool. I would describe it as a 2 to 3 day town. We were there for 2 weeks, but we worked Monday through Friday, so we got out basically the equivalent of 2 to 3 days to see it, and we had a lot of fun, saw a lot of very cool things. But we were definitely kind of ready to move on. We were like, I think we've eaten at every restaurant. We've been to every bar. We've been to the museum, the prison. So it was time to go. We're ready to move along. Where are we moving along to?
We are going to be moving to Custer, South Dakota. pretty excited.
Yeah, right next door to Mount Rushmore and a lot of very other cool things.
Crazy Horse, all that stuff, yep.
So, yeah, that's it. Week 2 from Rawlins in our adventure. Did we have random questions this week? We need random questions.
Yes.
If you like it and you think that's funny in the comments, give us some.
I'll ask you a random question.
You ask me a random question.
Let's see. What was your favorite song as a boy? Childhood. Under teen.
Yeah, I remember rocking Convoy a whole lot. I had that was probably the first 45 record that I had. We're gonna roll this truck in Convoy, Rubber Duck, and all that stuff. Yeah. How about you?
Oh, song?
Yeah.
Oh, as a teen? Oh, wow. Younger than a teen. I listened to that song a lot, too, which was funny. You and I talked about that we both had that in common growing up as kids. And then I think I remember them talking about I listened to a Mickey Mouse Clubhouse type song a lot. I don't remember. I blocked that out in my head.
She hates Disney now.
I don't hate it. It's just not my thing.
She hates it.
Not my favorite. What was the first CD? Oh, tape. What's the first tape you ever bought? On your own?
I don't know if I can remember the first tape I bought. Might have been like Guns N' Roses or something. I don't know. The Appetite for Destruction. Seems like a long time ago now.
Yeah, maybe.
Don't remember.
Okay.
Honestly. What was your favorite movie on VHS?
When a Man Loves a Woman.
I don't know what that is.
You'd never sit through it. Yep. How did you know Meg Ryan? No, Andy Garcia. Oh my gosh. Andy Garcia, Meg Ryan. Oh. Sexy movie. It's good.
All right.
Yeah.
Anything else for this week?
I think that's it. I think that wraps us up in Rawlins. We'll go stand
not a
out
whole lot
in the
this
wind
week.
some more.
The stuff we did was very cool, but there's not a whole lot to talk about this week.
A lot of driving. Nothing's real close together there, as you can imagine.
No, the last video we went to see Rush, and that was Laramie. That was about 100 miles away. Casper was about 100 miles away, and it was Rock Springs, I think, was the last decent-sized city we passed before Rawlins, and it was about 100 miles away. Yeah. So we were kind of in a triangle 100 miles away from any real city you might have heard of in Wyoming.
Yeah. Still had fun.
So, very good. So we will wrap it up.
Yeah. Till next time from South Dakota. Keep traveling dirty.
Traveling dirty.